Hi, babies. I play too much. Why I start off like my aunt? Y'all know that's what I am. The auntie, okay? I told y'all a long time ago what my grandma name gonna be. I'm not playing it for no time soon. But I just feel like I should start transitioning all my kids over. They start calling me Honeybee. I think it's cute. Like, and then they might just call me Honey for short or something like that. I think it's cute. I don't know. I don't want Big Mama. I want Big D. Okay. Tangent. Anywho, again, hey babies, what's going on? Come on in, beloveds. Come on in this place. Come on in here. Usher on into this presence, okay? His presence and this presence, okay? Right here, okay? On the B-Mix at BeExposedRadio.com. Welcome and welcome back. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday, okay? Happy April, okay? Not April Fool's Day, just April, okay? I'm going to tell you a little corny joke that I made for myself, though, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. It gets me. I ain't lying. Y'all be out here telling me that I'm funny, and I be really trying to tell y'all that I'm not. And that's because y'all don't know what it is that cracks me up. Like, it's like really corny things. And that's stuff that I tell myself. And I'm talking about hooting and hollering to myself. But that's neither here nor there. As a reminder, you already know what the B-Mix at BeExposedRadio.com is for. Who is it? For everybody. It's for everybody. The unseen, the unheard, the forgotten, whether it be the forgotten part of you, the overlooked, or for the person that just does not belong anywhere. The me. Welcome back. What's going on? Let's do a little temperature check, okay? And I don't mean that physically, but, if that speaks to health, like your physical health, then I would like to know that as well. Talk to me. What's going on? Y'all see, I just took that breath. Y'all saw that? Y'all saw that inhale and exhale? That was good. The inhale and exhale made me think of how I only got on a sports bra, so I don't know if that's why y'all probably can't see a lot of my sweatshirt, because I'm sure this looks weird just from here. So I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of this right here. I ain't gonna get up too much. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? One of them is green. I had to learn, green screen. Things are green. I forgot, y'all. I'm still learning this thing, and we're coming up on a year. We're almost a year old, y'all. We coming. Speaking of green, I'm gonna put this up because I know y'all gonna barely be able to see it, but I tried to rock this today. It was not working. But I got this today. Ooh, that's embarrassing. Okay, so it doesn't show at all. I thought a little bit of it, but again, green screen. So there's a lime green. Look at me, technical. I'm thinking like certain shades of green will be okay. Nope. So I have a lime green hat that says, like a lime green shirt that I've worn before, as a reminder to myself as well as to all of you. So for all of us, it's okay to not be okay. Can we just let that sit out in the atmosphere for a minute? Okay? Is that all right? I just wanted to remind us of that. And we'll get back into that in just a little bit. But I really, really, really needed y'all to know that. Okay? Before we get back into that, I want to take care of business. As usual, I love to take care of business first. So let's get into, I'm gonna try not to say it until we get to it. So I'm not gonna even say that with this piece of it. Y'all know I love to share with y'all, again, from my calendar, from the Equal Justice Initiative, EJI. I call it EJI. I don't know if they refer to themselves EJI, but I do. With Eli, EJI. It's a whole thing. Again, corny. It's corny little things that correct me up. Okay. And again, this calendar is obviously a year-long calendar, and it is a history of racial injustice. Okay. So literally every day of the year, it shares a little snippet and piece of racial injustice right here in the Americas, because, y'all's country. Moving on. Guess what I flipped to? The month of March. So sorry that the best month of the year has now concluded, but baby, I was definitely okay with a brand new day, a brand new start, a brand new month, a brand new time. So our history piece for today reads April 1st, 1875. U.S. Supreme Court hears arguments in U.S. versus Cruikshank okay, in which 3 white men win reversal of convictions under the Ku Klux Klan Act for massacre of 150 people in Colfax, Louisiana. Yeah, I know my question is always, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Just go out and just kill 150 people. It's fine. And you get convicted of it, and it's reversed by the U.S. Supreme Court. But no. So are we still fighting? Yes. Y'all see the Chauvin trial going on? Truthfully, this is why, again, a reminder today, it's okay to not be okay. The last time that I had to remind us both, and all I do is echo what I have to tell to myself and deal with myself with. I echo that for you all, and just share it and just, literally living transparency. So, I think the last time though that I wore that shirt or something, as a reminder, it was back when the George Floyd massacre, if we're talking about anything, the murder, was fresh, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so I said that I had finally seen the video and all that. It's horrifying, it's horrific, even just to think about, right? And then to actually have a visual associated with that, oh Lord. So I have not truthfully been enthralled into all the details and the everyday happenings of it. It is because I think I have built up this defense about these, similar cases that happen. They kill us, and then they showboat these, trials and all that, and make us relive all of the emotions, all of the horror, as different news. I have the app Newsbreak. I think I've shared it with you guys before. If not, if you're okay with getting right there, information, it pretty much gives it. It was mostly annoying when it was talking about them passing the for the stimulus package, because I never stayed up on it. It was it's either coming or it's not. I ain't about to get excited about the money that ain't here yet. It was just such and such just coughed on it. Okay, check in, calculate your stimulus. Leave me alone. Anyway, but other than that, I can appreciate that it gives information immediately. And so it just the few. It's crazy though, because I was getting all that stimulus, right? Just things that I knew we would be most interested in, and that they were okay. They were okay with us knowing. But here it is with the trial. I get a little piece here. This witness, this witness was emotional. Duh. Duh. And so long story short, I've stayed out of it. I haven't watched anything. I truthfully, because I have this luxury, like most of us do, that are not so closely tied to it, as in that's our family, that's this. And it's okay to identify that. It does not remove your feeling, or does not remove your empathy, right? Or even some of us that can have sympathy for it, does not remove that. But it is, again, being transparent, being realistic, that we actually have the luxury to remove ourselves from it. So while, yes, it's on social media and we all might be out here talking about it and commenting on something or whatever, you still have that luxury to remove yourself. So that's why you have to respect somebody else's feelings. We're going to get into that. I'm going to come back to that. But so I have this luxury, and I've actually taken advantage of the luxury that I have of removing myself from it, because I don't have that in me right now. I'm not even sure what reaction or what feelings, emotions it would stir up. I could imagine. But I was not willing to. I was dealing with so many other personal, storms or tests or trials. Trial, right? The word. But yeah, I've chosen to stay distant. Doesn't mean I'm not necessarily I'm not in the complete no, but I'm also not in the complete, unknown, right? And I mean, in the social media world, it's not really much that you can't really find out. I still am not very sure on what's going on with I just, side note, has nothing to do with this, but follow my thoughts. So Clubhouse, that's something that I vaguely knew about. And it was really because I was able to put pieces together from people kind of talking about it on social media, because for a while I just kept seeing it. I'm thinking it's a show or a movie or something. And long story short, I actually just downloaded it yesterday. So I got an invite. And it had sparked, it had enough, I've heard enough about it to spark some interest, but never enough like to really, look into it myself. And so anywho, it just brings it to like in the social media world, like you can't get away from like most things. Like you're going to find about or hear about something, even if it's, some people could hear about a lot of it, a little bit of it, to enough where if you hear it somewhere else at the water cooler talks, you're like, oh, I heard of that. I've heard of the trial that's going on or this or that. So, and I've just, like I said, I've chosen to exercise my right. I don't really want to use that word, but just my luxury, my freedom to not be so endoused in all the details of it, because I'm sure it would take me back to a place. It took me to a place. Okay. So I just, yeah. So it is about protecting myself. And that is a good transition into just what I'd love for us to get into today. I keep trying to tell myself that I'm so ill prepared for today, but not necessarily. I love to remind you of what I shared for the show. So, right, the promo for today's show reads, if it's out of your hands. It's that. So we'll get into each one of them individually and then get into how we married the two statements. And so the first being, so just go in order of how I introduced them. It's okay to not be okay. Like I said, we talked about that before, but it's totally okay to remind ourselves of things and be kind to yourself, even while you're reminding yourself. Benia, you know this. You're better at this. Like, why are you to remind yourself it's okay to not be okay? What are you doing? How am I beating over myself for not letting myself? It's crazy, right? Trying to get out of the way, using that word, trying to get away. Like, how have you been? What's going on? Learning and loving. Is lifing. Doing nothing else. Lifing. And so it's totally open to keep that at the forefront of your mind, is because you need to understand that not everything is going to be okay. Shifts and scenarios, it's the wrong version of ourselves that we're trying to make fit into a puzzle piece. So I may have, worked on some healing and all that. And again, healing is a lifelong journey, because at any given time, could there be something that could serve as a trigger? And I say could, because as you continue to work on self and self-reflect and heal and all that, we're going to get into all that in a second. And the importance of and significance of all of those things that I'm always talking about, that, it helps you to develop some line of defense, right? So that way you're able to judge, what's not good enough for you and all that. So then if someone that has not been doing healing comes and tries to fit their puzzle piece, right? And it may not fit. And that's why. And that's called unequally yoked. The whole point is to be equally yoked. And I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about family relationships, like close relationships that are healthy for you, right? We all, thank God, we see an influx of, conversations around, not forcing, our children to maintain relationships with, family that may not necessarily be conducive to our growth, conducive to our mental health. Like, thank God, right? Because we all, in our generation, we all grew up kind of like that. Like, some of us, me, raised in a household with that, you know what I mean? So it's like, you can't either, somehow, some way, our generation felt like you just couldn't get out of it. Either it's being forced or, by default. Like, yeah, I live with them, so... I just gotta live with this toxicity. And so, child, when I say it just felt good to stretch my leg out just now, oh God, I need one even hurting, baby. That thing just felt good. I think it caught it before it could have started hurting. Amen. It's the little things. I'm very grateful. So, like I was saying, that it's helpful again to keep the reminder of, how again, it's okay to not be okay. Because again, that helps you to separate, the fact that, to identify the fact that, something, whatever your it is not okay at the moment. And so once you can release that, right, again, that's how we marry the other statement of, if it's out of your hands, it deserves freedom from your mind too. So you're able to release, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're letting go of the entire thought of the it, whatever the it is for you. If you're like anybody in this day, you're dealing with a lot of it's, a lot of it's, a lot of ish. Okay, it. Okay, and so that's okay. That's okay. I'm only telling you okay because I don't know any other way to be. I'm always juggling something. Something that hit me earlier is that not only am I always juggling something, I'm always juggling some things with multiple S's. Okay. So, like if I'm juggling multiple some things at any given time, it does not necessarily mean it's always the same some things. It's always a role. I would say rotational. Lord, I was making up words. A revolving or rotational, sort of thing. Like, okay, today I'm dealing with, X, Y, and Z. Tomorrow I'm dealing with B, C, D, and F. Like, just okay. And it doesn't necessarily mean that X, Y, Z has completely dissolved. Like, and I am an octopus. Like, I am always doing something. When I say that is really one of the things that I have really been able to comb with a fine tooth comb of like who I'm supposed to, or not who as in like the name, right? The identifier, but how they are. So the how, of the how of the who I'm supposed to end up with is someone like I know that I absolutely deserve and need, like a strong man. Now I'm gonna get into this though, because there's a video that a friend of mine shared with me. And so to talk about what that means as far as, what a strong man is. Does I mean? Y'all wasn't about to let me say that because I think I was about to say does that. But anyway, do I mean, someone that, doesn't cry or not sensitive in time? Like if it calls to be sensitive, like a strong man that's strong enough. Catch this, because I'm coming. I'm going somewhere. I promise. That's strong enough to be in tune with, their sensitive side, and to just not even that, just their whatever emotion, situation scenario calls for, and that they don't really like wear the emotion. I saw another post that makes me think of. I can't quote it for sure, but it just was like, you can feel the feeling, but don't embody, the emotion. Like don't do that. And I know for sure I've said. A long time ago, like for a long time, that it was like either if I'm happy, I'm very, very happy. I'm sad, I'm very, very sad. Like whatever it is, whatever emotion it is, I'm emotional, as in all emotions, not just happy, sad. We'll go into situations thinking those are the only two options. I can only be happy about this, sad about this, or mad. That's it. Only three. That's all I got. No, it's plenty more other feelings. Probably some, to be discovered, right? And so, because at some point. I want us to understand that you don't have to choose an emotion to sit with. If a scenario, a situation, whether has you with mixed feelings, mixed emotions, guess what? That's okay. I'm telling you, oh my, right? I don't care. I'm telling you that it's okay. Promise. So in a scenario where you feel like maybe you were betrayed, but yet you're reminded of how much this person may have done for you, guess what? You can remember that. So you feel, you feel for that person. And so, but it's working through that to understand that you need to identify, maybe isolate this scenario, right? So, and this really came from a conversation with a colleague. And so we were talking about, I shared with y'all like a lot of stuff. I know I read a lot of stuff to y'all last week. But one of the situations was like the conversation that was between the two transitioning executive directors. And so the one that was transitioning out was the one like talking just trash about, all of us, blah, blah, blah. And so one of my colleagues like just expressed it was like, I've confided, like, she has like helped out or looked out somewhere, like if I need to do this or, that, and really needed, something, because life does really happen. We will say all of these things and then be so surprised and taken aback when they happen. No, like life happens. Yeah. So, and it has to be dealt with. That's the thing. Like as an employer, as a government, as any, you don't get to, just snatch that. And I keep talking about this of what's missing in the world, really, but definitely in America is humanity. Just simple humanity. That's it. Where is that? Where is it? Right? And so when we think about that, so it was, she had like, I feel, I don't know. I think I'm putting words in her mouth when I'm saying betrayed, but for lack of a better word, I think, her overall feeling was like she felt betrayed by that situation, just knowing that she's the one that actually overheard the conversation. And so, she heard like some of the things, some stuff she said she couldn't make out, like she couldn't hear like which name, but things, of course. So I think by nature you would like tune up, like, they saying Benia yet? Like what what they saying, right? And so, you listening with your eyes too. Y'all see, I couldn't help that child. That's that parents into something. What's she up there doing? It's crazy. Well, anyway, but you turn your ear, it's a whole thing. But your ears are gonna perk up for what's being said directly about you. And so I'm sure, like, just in that moment, like, felt like, wow, like, geez, it felt the way that, especially for it to be a surprise, like, just tell me. I'm always a just tell me kind of person. I don't care what it is. You hate me, it's gonna tell me so that way I know, so we can just go ahead. We know how to operate. It doesn't even mean I'm about to choose to hate you back, because that's not my feelings toward you. I just now know that you hate me. Okay. Hey, hate me, Joe. Like, it's okay. Hate me. It's fine. It's totally okay. Because that's on you. That's actually on you. It's a thing. That's where you can carry that attitude of, I'm always bringing these cliches that we'll talk about and say and use, but we misusing them or don't really know the real definitions or meanings behind them of when we say, like, what people think about me and my business. That's where you can apply that. I think we apply the wrong cliches and the wrong, colloquialisms and all of that to the wrong scenarios. Like, we're applying let me take this phrase and put it over here to this. It doesn't go like that, baby. But for that one, if you choose to hate me, okay, even if it could have been something I did or said, but you haven't even given me the option or the respect enough to be able to talk about it, and maybe there's some justification behind it. I'm pretty sure it's a misunderstanding. With Benia, it's usually a misunderstanding. Hence the show. Ta-da! Ta-da! The misunderstood. Welcome, babies. Come on in here. Come on up in here. Okay. Right. So, it's okay, because she also, like I said, just reminded, like, she felt betrayed, but then, was like, but, I feel bad because she's looked out for me. Honey, you can feel both. You can feel both. And if this particular scenario calls for, some follow-up or that you want to address it or something, then do that. And yes, you can still, that's why I'm that person that probably gives more information. And it's crazy because I don't necessarily volunteer information. I don't omit, but I don't volunteer information. If I'm asked, you get it all. Just ask me anything, I'm spilling it. Like, I don't know how to keep it, because once my thoughts come, it's basically like out of my mouth. Like, they're pure, it's genuine. When I used to always intro the show, like, which is still true, just because I ain't saying it don't mean it ain't true, amen. All authentic and raw material, like, all the time, I mean it. And so, because it's up here and it's just rolling on out there, okay? And so you can absolutely, if she wanted to address it, it could absolutely, lead with or include somewhere in addressing that, right, in that conversational letter or email or whatever the case may be, to say, like, listen, while I really appreciate that you've looked out for me this and the third, so I don't want you to think that I don't appreciate that. This is an isolated scenario for me, and it doesn't just mean because, I'm at the butt end of it, and not receiving something and not looking out per se in this scenario. It's just because I want to address this. Like, it's okay, y'all. Again, why I say we have to get back to communication, because I totally understand that everything's a process. Because when I posted, even, if it's out of your hands, it deserves freedom from your mind too. When I posted that for the promo of the show, I reminded you that, let's all just woosah, right? And even that is a process. Everything absolutely is a process. And it's embracing and respecting that process. That's why it's just easier to embrace the process, because everything is a process. So if you ain't embracing this one over here, by the time you get over to this next thing that calls for a process too, you ain't trying to. So now you just laying there, it's a vegetable. You just refuse. Like, not a vegetable because something happened to you, but because life is happening, you refuse to take part and take ownership in it, right? So even with this, again, because we're going back to like marrying these two different profound statements and reminders, If it's out of your hands, it deserves freedom from your mind too. That, that is talking about the control that you have decided to, the control that you have identified with the statement of it's okay to not be okay. You've at least identified that, okay, I'm not okay right now. I don't have control over, necessarily what it takes to get to the place of when it's all going to be okay. I don't have, control over at least the timing or whatever the case would be. None of us really have control of the timing. You can be great time managers. You still don't have control over all time. Nobody's father time. For Christ Jesus. That's it. It's all in his timing. I'm sorry to tell you. That's it. You just want to just go ahead and embrace that one. You want to just go ahead. It's the whole beauty of being a believer. You be like, yep, this don't feel good. I'm just going to activate my faith right now because Lord, take this one up off my hands here. Don't take it. I don't like this. I don't like it. It's hot. That's ugly. I don't like it. Here, Jesus. I don't want that. And so then once you identify that, right, now you're choosing to relinquish that control, to let that, let that hurt go, let that control go, to give it all to him, right? Because, it's being kind to yourself. It's, being gentle with yourself. Like, we are so hard on ourselves. And how many of us throughout our lifespan, have said or thought, or maybe even been told, like, we're our worst, I'm my worst critic. I'm my worst, you might say I'm my worst enemy. Boom. Y'all weren't ready for that, were you? Surprise. Yeah. The next time you go to identify yourself as your worst critic, go ahead and substitute critic for enemy. The next time you go to say, I am my worst critic, edit it to say, I am my worst enemy. Because we misuse the word critic. So are you giving yourself constructive criticism where you identify something positive, you come in with and address the area for improvement and conclude it with something positive? Is it constructive criticism, strategic improvement? Is it? Or are you just beating up on yourself? If you're doing that, I can more than likely guarantee you that you're beating up on other people. And that's absolutely not okay either. It's not okay. Now, I know but you just said it's okay to not be okay. Right. It is okay that things happen and life happens and there are things we're trying to figure out and all of that. And so what's not okay, though, because, it's always an opposite. What's not okay is to be hard on yourself or to be harsh on yourself. Let's do that. Because for some people, you believe that it's easy, it's better, it's productive. It fosters your growth for you to be hard on yourself. I can't tell you that. Only you know that. I would only hope that at some point you get to the place where you understand that, or you build yourself up to the place where you can receive or be better, be nicer and kinder, rather be kinder, more gentle with yourself and still learn from that. I just had a conversation with one of my goddaughters, my baby, that was she had, myself and her mother were having a conversation with her. Let's get back to that, y'all. I was so very proud of my best friend. I was very proud of her and just what she shared and what she talked about. It allowed me to interject at some place. I led the conversation at some point. And it was a corrective conversation. Truthfully, not a huge, horrible deal, but definitely something like a learning, a learning lesson. What's it? Teachable moment. There we go. Oh Lord, I knew it was like learning involved. Teachable moment for my goddaughter, right? And so, but just the beauty of it, because Lord, no, my baby just wept, just boo-hooed, and we hugged in the middle of it, but still got back to the correction of it and just the lessons out of the entire ordeal. And even as the adult, that gives me hope, right? It gives me hope in humanity. It gives me hope in restoration of, corrective action, that everything does not have to be harsh. You know, everything does not have to, it doesn't have to be hands-on and this and that. Like it does not have to be. Am I talking out of, I get it, even in the Bible to say, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child. So I get that. Ooh, I quoted that one good, y'all. All right, sorry. I know I meant well, right? But it's okay. Like it doesn't deserve it all the time is what I'm saying, right? And if you raise your child to the point where that is the only way that they feel like that they will be reprimanded and that they will, you know, that they are expected to learn a lesson, I think that you're creating an overall disadvantage for them in life. And it is our duty. I'm just talking tonight, y'all. Talking pretty good. But you got back to someone back a little bit because I feel good about this. Definitely send a little prayer and ask God to just speak on through me, child. Because I didn't know where I was going today. I had some notes, had some things in my mind to actually feel like completely prepared sitting down tonight. I didn't. I get these thoughts in, but truthfully, that you know, it is our duty. It is our duty not only to, you know, build up and empower our children to really be their best selves, but it is a part of our duty, along with everything else, right? To prepare them not only for the world, but we're preparing for the world to be able to receive them in a sense. If that makes sense, let me try to make sure that makes sense. That prime example. Oh my ladies. Okay, sorry. Excuse me. But let me sing it out. Okay. I don't know why. I really don't even want this on me, myself, and I, but I sings it every once in a while. That's neither here nor there. So, you know, like I'm thinking of just ladies, but I absolutely know because I'm gonna get into this. I promise, men. I'm coming for y'all, as in like for support for y'all, not coming, you know, at you. Okay, so if you've ever been in a toxic relationship, right? And felt like, bruh, for real, how are you raised? Like, what part inside of you helps you to feel like that all of this that you're saying and or doing is okay, right? And so it makes me think like, bruh, the necessary preparation for you to enter into the world, to do these adult, like, you know, to engage in these adult like, you know, situations and scenarios, as in dating, sexing, reproducing, you know, working, you know, and engaging and socializing, right? I don't know, anything else you could possibly think of. Like, where, where does somebody drop the ball or never pick up the ball at all? Okay, for some, like, it had to have been, because it's not all on us. A lot of us are walking around, and I'm saying us because I'm, you know, on remission, I feel like, but a lot of us are and have been, I'll say, that's a better thing, have been, because I absolutely, let me take the moment to applaud each and every last one of us that have sought after some professional, you know, therapy, counseling, anything. Absolutely applaud each and every last one of us. I'm so godly proud of you for that. It's necessary. Again, I'll say each and every last person that is breathing on this side of glory needs therapy. If you are breathing, if you are able to go, you need therapy. Congratulations. That is your B-tip of the week. Okay, that's your B-tip of the week forever. Okay. So that aside, right? That, you know, if you are not seeking out some type of professional help, you need to, and it is necessary. I don't know how else to put it. Like, it's so godly necessary. It's necessary because it is they always say that, you know, of course they'll say, like, not they say, but, you know, even the Bible says, and what we believe is like, you know, God will not give you more than you can handle, right? He will not bring something to you without fair warning. We can definitely get into that much later, not even later tonight, but just later. But even that when when we fall short of the glory, as all of us have and do, and some of us more often than others, but we do pretty often, pretty frequently. I'll raise my hand there. Ooh. But he then gives us time like after to be able to, rectify and to remedy, and right our wrongs. Thank you, Lord. Like, we are in Holy Week right now. Okay. Like, tomorrow is Good Friday. And so if we have no other example, if there's no other time to reflect, I know, ding, 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 that's my word. Ding, 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 ding. To reflect on, God's grace, God's glory, and him as an example is when he gave us Jesus Christ. And so I hope that we are all by now out of the mind. Like, please get out of the mind that you feel like you know what Jesus looks like. I just have to say that because I ain't gonna get into it, y'all, but these shoes and all of this. And so it made me look up what the Jesus shoes were. And then it gets this whole other, there are so many pairs of Jesus shoes out here, y'all, that had one got the line of Judah on it and with the cross, and walk by faith got it on it. Sorry, I'm trying to laugh. I'm not laughing at Jesus. I want to be very honest. But then it's a pair of Chucks that I don't think are like by Converse, but just a pair of like Chuck-like shoes. They got Jesus all up on there. Just okay now, y'all. So I didn't know. So no wonder they felt like they needed this Satan shoe. I don't know. Like, not justifying it at all, but oh Lord, just as a reminder for us Christ believers, that it is not a priority, nor is it an obligation, nor is it a right for us to ever believe that we know what he looks like. Okay, while we have an idea, that is really what we're to go off of, and that's it, and that's okay, because that's where we activate our faith. But we believe in something greater than us, that we don't even need to know exactly what you look like. We feel your presence, Lord, right? And so while I was getting back to my main point of us being in Holy Week, that, tomorrow, is the day that, we acknowledge that, Christ died for us, for our sins. Took them all away. He's the Son of God. So he, while in man form, he's still the Son of God, the Holy Messiah, and did not lie, did not sin, still human. So of course, I'm sure tempted probably more than we even, have read on and know, where the devil himself has tempted him, and this and the third. Is human. He came into human form so that way he would be able to, say that I've walked this earth. Like, while it may not be in 2021 that we see him walking down here with these Jesus slippers. By the way, side note, I got me something that's so cute, girl. They from Walmart. Okay, they are so cute. They colorful. And so, but his presence. So technically, he is walking, amongst the earth and roaming amongst the earth within each of us as his believers and his children in 2021. But it's like a reference for us to think back way, way, way back when, and that he, actually touched foot on this earth, so that way we couldn't be like, how you some God that say that you know us and all? You ain't even down here. You want to shoot with us in the gym, Jesus? But yeah, he kind of did. Yeah, the material they make to shoot, for the basketball that you're shooting in the gym, he was wearing his feet. I don't know, like whatever. Like he was here. And so he did all of that and took on, literally paid a debt he didn't owe. Took on. Let's pause there. Anybody at all, whether you have it or not, do you think, just in your current current situation, all of that, do you see yourself saying, hey, real quick, excuse me, no, I don't know you. I don't, you got any debts? Like you owe the IRS. Oh, can I pay that for you? Like, and you ask, but you just do it. Like you might be asking, but you just do it. Anybody? I'm not. No, I'm absolutely not. One, I don't have it. And two, I got a heart, but yeah, no, I'm not paying that. I'm not doing that, right? Yeah, Jesus did it for everybody. That's all. He just went ahead and did that. He did. Took it. Didn't know us yet. Well, he knows all this, but meaning that we hadn't even, met the face of the earth yet in order to be able to commit the sins that we still have to commit, for the rest of my life. I'm sure there's at least one more sin that I will commit, whether it's unbeknownst to me or, pridefully, like it'll happen. And guess what? I'm still forgiven for it, because way back when the consequence for sin was death. And so I'm very grateful that you know, I don't know, if a little white lie I might have told here, I told you I ain't good at lying, y'all, but still, like, so I'd really be mad. Like, I ain't even good at lying. And dang it, the one time I went and told a lie, I done died. God, Lord. Thanks, Jesus. Like, you went in and took that up off me. I appreciate you for that. That you've given me the gift of salvation, that I can go to God, and the only way that you can know God is through Christ Jesus, right? Truly know God. So all of us that are out here just claiming, you know, yeah, I believe in God, yeah. Uh-huh. Ooh, yeah, it's through Christ Jesus, so that you really get to know him, that you can come to him, that you can receive the gift of the Holy Ghost, and so forth and so on, right? And so we're grateful. And so in all of that, it's like, it's to this time is a perfect time to embrace the reminder of, you know, how to, you know, to take it a little easier on yourself, to be kinder to yourself, to, you know, again, remind yourself, again, it's okay to not be okay. And if it's out of your hands, it deserves freedom from your mind too. That's how you're kind to yourself, that you don't boggle down. Let me give an example. Again, a recent conversation I was having, and said that, because I've thought this plenty of times, I really put it into perspective for myself this time, and said, you know, there are, and I can't think of what the exact situation that called for this, but I'm a feeler, so I'll come, like, what I come away from my takeaway was, you know, there are plenty of times where I have felt like as I was growing and maturing, that it was like, wow, I don't respond this way, you know, to something that I know I would have responded this way. Prime example, and it doesn't even always mean like anger, or I'm going out here and drink it, or I'm, you know, rolling up real quick, or those of you that do lines, I don't know, whatever, right? Like, it doesn't even mean that harsh. I mean that I'm a crybaby. I don't even know if I can wear that hat anymore now that I'm in my recent, you know, revelation, self-revelation. But, you know, it's things that I have, like, about work and stuff. I definitely have experienced that before. I have, you know, boohooed about it, has taken me, you know, to a place I've just been sad and just down about. And while I could identify, you know, the comparison and similarities between the most recent work scenarios that I've shared with you guys, and I'll remind you in a little bit, update you. But between that and those that have happened before, like, I've been able to, you know, see the similarities, you know, and just does not rock me, while it may feel the same way, like as in what they, you know, what was done to me, the mistreatment or this and the third, reminds me of that has happened before from different employers. It is so crazy. That, you know, I just, while all of that seems to be the same, so that's the constant, what was changed, you know, the variable is my reaction to it. I didn't cry. I'm not upset. I was so at peace, even when I drafted that long email that I, you know, read out to y'all last week. I didn't cry, you know, even it continued on. I had the meeting this week. I told y'all I had the meeting Monday. So this past Monday, I met with the executive board and committee member. And even in the middle of the meeting, you know, I shared, like, yeah, I thought I was coming to get fired. I didn't know. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Let me tell you, like, so a lot of our board members for my organization, they, you know, work directly with hospitals. So they're coming from that perspective. So meaning that they've been inside, you know, working in person for quite some time now. I don't know if they ever did not, right? And so I come in with that perspective, that mindset, and, you know, it is an unfair, you know, it's a disadvantage, you know, for us, that's a nonprofit, a much smaller organization, a much smaller staff, and non-essential workers, right? But there's still a push for us to return into the building, yada, yada. So while overall it's a feel-good meeting, but good as in like hope for, you know, much better change in this and the third, not necessarily. Still a feel-good meeting. So there's supposed to be some follow-up to come with, you know, other staff, because while I didn't share, you know, that all I shared, actually I didn't share anything in detail, or in depth, but shared, you know, generally and just generically, I guess, that, you know, by that date, I had received so much support from all of my staff but one. And while I wasn't looking for that, you know, it's just like, okay. Now also, you know, being smart, not expecting or assuming that each one of those, that shared support and reached out would actually, vocalize their opinions and all that. Like I wouldn't even expect, like I wouldn't put that on anybody else. This is my stuff. And that's why I got explained. So it was misunderstood of, that I included them all on the email. But like I said, that was, I guess, my lowest point of the whole scenario. But really it was because we've always had a collaborative environment in work, right? And so we knew when there was somebody that was let go before, during, after, like we knew all of that. So then maybe that should have had, like, okay, so we see how, not so good behavior and repeated not so good behavior is not conducive to the work environment or to any environment. If it's anything that's unaddressed, okay? So if you leave it unaddressed, that's exactly what it is. It's unaddressed, and it invites the idea for it to fester and to grow and to linger and to it's not gonna grow beautifully. It may grow, if it grows bigger, fine. But we know that my brain, so forgive me for this analogy, my brain is going to, the commercials of the starving children in Africa, right? And my question was always like, what is the belly? Like if they start, like me, just always trying to figure out, I was a younger child, so younger Benia, something I was always trying to figure out was like, how their belly's big? Like, doesn't that mean like they've eaten well? I don't understand. So while it may be this inflated belly, they're still malnourished. So when something goes unaddressed, right, you are inviting the idea for it to grow larger, but in a negative aspect. So it's going to the negative side of the time. I was thinking the timeline, but I wanted my hand to go up. But it's going to so while it may be increasing in the digit, right, on the timeline, it's still in the negative side. So it's, your situation started at a 1, right? And you could have addressed it at a 1 before it even got to a positive 10, right? Woo, big deal. And so, but now it's unaddressed. And so now it's going backwards. So it's getting bigger. Now it's at a 5, it's at 8, it's at 10, it's at 20, but negative 20. Like, no, just address it. I'm okay with, and so the beauty of when you think about relationships, friendships, and I just had a good conversation earlier today where, I don't mind, sometimes I can get frustrated a little bit where it's like, dang it, why can't people just remember like how I am, who I am? Like, but okay, if I have to remind you, okay, right? Everybody got a whole bunch of stuff going on. But I had a conversation earlier with my sister, and it was to remind, like, one thing I absolutely hate is do not let me find out that there's been an issue or grievance with me that has gone unaddressed. Because now immediately when I find that out, it makes me question from the time that I'm finding it out, and all that time in between from when you're saying that this grievance or you've had this issue with me. Like now I'm questioning all of our interaction. Like, was that phony? Like, I'm thinking all things are good. That's what I want it to be. If I think it is, I want it to actually be that. So I want it to actually be that so I can think and know that it's all good, right? And so it's important to get to know, folks around you, like, and really care about that. So with that being said, you can't do that unless you actually deal with yourself. I push, and I'm going to my notes now, I push for each of us, right? Or I urge, for y'all to work on self so much because it builds up defense against negativity that's spoken and or spoken against you and or that's done with you in mind, right? So anybody that, y'all want to, for a while, everybody, the haters, hate is this and hate is that. And I'll talk about that before. Like, I'll be like, I just never, apparently there are people that hate me, but okay. It's mean to say you don't matter. But the hate that is brought against, the negativity that's brought, it does not matter to me. It does not faze me. But that is my point. It's because I have built up this healthy, there's the difference, build up a healthy defense, a healthy immune system, a healthy spiritual immune system. Got it? See how we broke that down in there? Built that up? Okay, B tip of the week. Work on self so much that you build up a healthy spiritual immune system to defend against all things that would be negative and brought towards you. Okay, brought against you rather. Does Some things that come toward you are not bad, but things that are brought against you. So again, B tip of the week, work on self so much that you build up a healthy spiritual immune system to defend yourself against any negativity brought against you. You're welcome. Build it up. Work on self so much that it just, like the reason why it doesn't stick out here, there are so many controversial conversations about, how you say that things don't matter what people say to you and how you do that, because people are trying to understand something on a level that they may not necessarily be on. You may not have worked on yourself so much that you understand where somebody could be, probably if you are the only single friend, and it's touching on a place I really didn't want to go to at all, but we can explore this later together. But say if, because my brain goes everywhere. So I've even thought, because of the conversation I had earlier, I was like, I wonder if it's the question of like, oh, she the bitter, only single friend and we're in relationships or married now or something. I think of all things. That's why like things don't really land for me, because my brain and my thoughts are just, but I think them thoroughly through. So I think that it makes a difference of someone that's solid, like myself. Like, yes, I give myself that prop because I know myself, solid, authentic, all of that, right? And so while my experience with like some former friends, some, exes, or just former, guys, I guess, that I've, talked to, entertained, or whatever, that I've, gotten the review of like, because I thought of like, was it friends that admitted this? It's just the guys. But either way, that has been admitted to me. Like, I've never dealt with someone like you, like a woman like you, that your level of real, like just, and so, while I'm not boasting right now, it's okay. I should feel free enough to talk about it. Like it's an uncommon place to be in. Like it's not many of us that can say, so solid and so real that I don't, let's talk about it all. Like, okay, right. And actually mean it and be able to handle that and still, relay if I do not agree or do not like or whatever the case may be. And so it's, I'm that person to think about that. And like I said, what distinguishes between, myself and someone else that may have a lot of flying thoughts as well is that, like I said earlier, is that I, while I'm full of thought, is because I actually, I think each of my, the multitude of flying thoughts, I think them through thoroughly. Right. So I go through a whole scenario and then will still remind myself like that may not have, that may not be it, but that could be. Right. So it is, I guess, if I'm trying to remove myself and view it globally, that maybe it is hard to have a conversation with me, that by the time you come into a conversation with me, you do have to, I won't say come correct, but you do have to come like, standing on something pretty firm or be open enough for, your thoughts that your agenda items that you came to the meeting with me, conversation with me about, that they might change, or that your stance might change. Like you have to be open with that. It doesn't mean that I feel like I have to dominate the conversation. I'm always right. No, but I work so hard on myself. This is what I've been saying to myself recently. While I've joked for my entire life to say that I am perfect, right? And it's just because I've, embraced that and embodied that. And that even came from a bad past place of, defense mechanism of, trying to be perfect and all and yada yada. But so the joke was like, it's myself, like, yeah, perfect. Like I may not actually be perfect, but I work my butt off, just in working on self. It doesn't mean that I'm doing all these like crazy things, I'm over here doing cartwheels, but I work on self so much that I'm working to be just as close to that as humanly possible. If anything, I feel like that's our obligation as Christ believers. He made us in his image, and we know that only he is perfect. So it's on us to try to do everything we possibly can to be just as perfect as we could be. Doesn't mean to kill ourselves, right? Literally and figuratively. It does not mean, to be harsh on ourselves, because that's not going to get you anywhere. So you want to check yourself at you might make this turn, like, okay, this is a better turn to make for myself, but oh shoot, like man, I need to, turn here. And, okay, maneuver and make it all better. While the left turn might have been good, but now you realize you need to, swerve off, bear right, because that full left turn may not be conducive to you. So while you may tell yourself, I need to embark on this new endeavor and this new journey, sure, but it's still be easy on yourself. So you might need to veer off just a little bit, like chill out. God don't want nothing else but for us to actually enjoy the life that He's prepared us for and prepared for us. Amen. And so when I talk about, building up, defense against negativity that's spoken against you, or things that are done, negative things that are done with you in mind, that also includes yourself. That includes yourself. We've all found ourselves either overreacting or responding too sensitively to something, right? Did you know that's a sure sign of a weak spiritual immune system? It is. So if for example, if you think of people that maybe, I don't know, deal with grief or loss, or and that can be anything, loss of a job, loss of physically, like someone, sure, or someone that's living and breathing, and so they've had to grieve a living, breathing person. That's really hard to do. Just whatever loss or grief like would mean that, people will be like, oh, Leroy, he off the deep end, like, oh, he need to reel it in some, he's stamping on people, not dealing with things, because it's something that has been unaddressed. And what did I say earlier? That things that are unaddressed leave it wide open for things to fester. You rather to manifest versus fester. Okay. Yeah, I tried to do that a little bit. It was corny. It's fine. Y'all know what I always love to bring up: self-reflection. Self-reflection is the vitamin C or the nutrients for your spirit. Self-reflection is that. So in self-reflection, and it comes in all ways, shapes, forms, sizes, and colors. And it doesn't mean you have to just choose one. Do what works best for you. It could be for, sometime you get into meditation and then you learn, like, all right, I need a little bit more. So let me, also seek, professional help and get some therapy. And you might realize you like one over the other because maybe the scenario that you're dealing with, timing, the time of year, who knows? And then you're interchanging it, or you're mixing it up. Find out what works for you. Only you can figure that out. I can't tell you that. I can only urge you to try the different methods of self-reflection that exist. Because while it's self-reflection, and so how's the self-reflection? And I go to therapy and somebody talking to me, that's really mostly me talking in my therapy session, truthfully. And they're licensed and trained to help guide you, to the place in where you're trying to get to or need to get to. And so it helps you to do just that. And sometimes self-reflection, you ever call somebody or just be talking to someone and like, I need to call and ask your opinion. And you get to talking about it out loud. You're like, oh, I know you ain't helped me at all. Like, my bad, but I got it now. Like, I just had to think it out loud, not just to myself, but to someone else, and boom, got it. And even if, okay, so we're talking about meditation, therapy, prayer, okay? So in the presence of, if it's no one else, and trust me, prayer, you always want, that's supposed to be like the given. You always want prayer, okay? And then it's, any other method that you need to. It is totally okay. Say this again, said it before, don't mind repeating. It is okay to pray and meditate. Not a sin. Not a sin. Promise. And if I'm wrong and you end up going to hell for it, just call me. I'm a clown. That cracked me up. And I'm going to just laugh about that later. But I mean it. Like, just, I feel like God would be like, listen to that daggone Benia, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Went meditating and praying. Oh, got to send you to hell. But he probably, all right, he's forgiving God. So, all right, you can come to heaven. But, it's about to skin in your teeth. But that's because you listening to that Benia. I'm telling you, though, it is totally okay to do both. It's totally fine. And what was the phrase? Get your girl that can do both. Get your man that can do both. Yeah, do both. Pray and meditate. Because at the end of the day, I never really use that phrase, but when it all boils down to it, that at the least when it's the idea of, talking it out and figuring it out, for yourself, like out loud in the presence of someone else, the best presence you could ever talk something through, anything, is with God. It is mind blowing still to this day of how, like, you be reading the Bible, reading the scripture. It doesn't have to be the whole chapter, a whole long chapter. I love my bishop always says, like, just get a little piece of word, little piece of scripture that you can chew on, right? Just get a little something, right? And so you're reading it, but I'm telling, especially when you have something already on your mind, you're like, let me get my Bible real quick. Let me read a little something. Ooh, chat, right? Flip on something. Whether if you looked up something specifically or just landed on it, right? In your physical Bible, you just close your eyes, opened it, or got on your phone on the app or anything. And either way, just reading something. And the way that you will receive a revelation, and it's all just because you just started reading a little scripture like that, is mind blowing to me still to this day. And so the whole point in life really is to learn, develop, master, and share it. That's it. Easier said than done, I know, right? When you think about different things. But if I slip and decide, right, for an example, I thought about this earlier, because I'm working with my daughter. My baby is about to be 4 years old on Saturday, y'all. Happy early birthday to Sydney Adriana. My heart, my love, my reason, right? So I've been working with her about just brought back the yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. It works. Truthfully, one, because honestly, just me personally, I love children with manners, like manners and big manners and ma'am and no ma'am. But two, it helps just like when you're teaching them like the alphabet. And I used to think like, well, no, let me like as the alphabet, I will have a picture, of each letter. And I'm like, well, let me just get her through the letters first, and then we'll go back and try to associate letter with the picture. But thanks to my mom, she actually taught me that and told me that, no, actually do that together. So, and let her learn A for apple. She'll be able to identify that and, get it. And it did. It helped because we were struggling. I was like, she's so smart. How is she not getting these letters down? So then we went back and A for apple, B for bird, or B for bumblebee, so forth and so on. It's stuck and it clicked. And so all of that to say that, with the yes ma'am and the no ma'am, it helps to at least cushion or reinforce, the idea of saying yes and no. And then it softens it a little bit so that way it's learning delivery without I really know, she's not going to understand that I need to learn how I deliver things now. So it's just like right now we're in the stage of learning to mind our business. We're learning, not to repeat, if I'm you should have her cousins over or something. Plus, like, no, but y'all know better. She's repeating it too. No, I don't need an echo. You know what I mean? Like things like that. So it helps, so even with the yes ma'am and no ma'am. And so if I was to slip or take a shortcut in these manners, because I'm reinforced, I'm giving her what I'm expecting from her. So when she asks something, yes, ma'am, but I naturally say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and anyway, truthfully, I remember having something with someone. It was because I said no, ma'am. I was like, bruh, killing me. Like I say it. Like I could not get over that. I literally just met a cousin of ours. She's older, I think even older than my mom. And she's like, yeah, give my number and all that. I was like, yes, ma'am. She's like, oh, Lord, don't you say it. I know I'm old, but it's out of respect. I don't know what. Just like we call each other cousin. I had to text her and say, this is cousin Benia. Like, it's a thing. I don't know. But anywho, so if I was to slip or, decide to take a shortcut on my manners, just because I've gotten to the point where I've mastered it. So catch this, where I've mastered it. And I decide to slack off. So I feel like, I didn't got up here. I know my manners and all that. I can just be like, yeah, what's going on, right? In different scenarios, sure. So then it's code switching. Maybe we need to touch on that at some point, right? But understand I don't need to take the shortcuts with my child because she's learning. She's in learning and development mode all the time, especially, now. But even when I think of, like I said, I had a conversation with my goddaughter. I was talking when she's 12. So I can't just say like, she's not 4. She's still learning too at 12. I'm 31. I'm still learning, right? I'm learning at 31. It's supposed to be like back when I said, when people ask, like, what you're up to? Learning and lifing. Lifing is happening. My contribution to the lifing that's happening around me is learning. And my choice is loving. Lifing, learning, and loving. Right? And so if I, take this shortcut and just, like I thought about it, it was just earlier where, she asked something, I was like, yeah. And I was like, and I, caught myself. I think I actually said yes. And I was like, well, let me say yes, ma'am. And so if I decide, because I've mastered this set skill, and because I feel like I've mastered it, I decide to slack off from it, then the part where, remember, it's about learning, developing, mastering, and sharing. The tip of the week. Life is about learning, developing, mastering, and sharing skill sets, learned lessons, or whatever the case may be, right? Just, it's about, those things. And so the sharing piece, I've mastered it, but in mastery, nowhere does it say mastering me now means to slip off and take the shortcut. Because the next stage and phase, as life is always evolving, right, is to share it. So what would I then be sharing with my daughter? The slipped part. So then what the issue out here that we may see or observe is that parents will reprimand a child for doing something that they're learning from you or from them. You cannot reprimand, and it's not fair. I absolutely embrace and empower humanity in my world, especially in my home. I can't reprimand, even if you've done something wrong. If you have done something wrong, but if I can figure out that there's some part of it in me, but then I can't. That's why I said, is to get back to the idea of talking it out with children. Anybody that asks me, she's so small, what do you do with her? I have talked to my child since the very beginning. I'm talking about in womb, but even as soon as she was literally fresh out, talking. And, and just still kind of meeting her where she was, but it's that balance of meeting her where she is, right? So infancy, fresh newborn infancy, but, helping to elevate as well. Always keeping that in mind. That is conscious parenting. I'm actually in a Facebook group, and it's very important. I love that there are just different things that people will say in there. I was trying to think of the most recent one that I actually started to implement and apply. But just things that people say, and while some things may not fit for you, okay, but it's still just to be cautious about. That's why I love it. It's just called being cautious. That's conscious. I'm sorry. That's it. And so and like I said, keep it in mind of just if I'm trying to enforce, something new on us to utilize yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, yes, sir, and no, sir, I also have to actively participate in that as well. While I know it's easier, there's been times I've cried to one of my sisters, like, girl, I see why it was easier just to be a terrible parent. Like, it's easier. Just, I have to care about nothing, just yell, do whatever. Like, this takes a lot more work, sure, but it is good work. When you are doing good work, work the Lord, right? Like, what they say, like, seriously, when you're doing the work of the Lord, like, your days will be expanded. Your time, it'll feel like that you have that's all the time in that same day that everybody else has to get all this good work that you are doing done. And that's how I feel. Human octopus is always juggling something. And that's when I know that's why, just to touch on something like from last week that I mentioned, that the guy, said that I wasn't ready for a relationship. It was like, no, it's not true. Just because I know my time and, life is expanded for me in each day. And so while you may witness and observe what is filled right now, I know, and I have lived and witnessed, I've still done for my family, probably was less of, because they decided, to kind of just ease up off me of just so much, expecting so much when I was in a relationship. And it was like a live-in relationship. All that was the only relationship that I have had, since I've had my daughter. And, so it was that whole ordeal. And still, though, I was still, a good person, but amazing. I am an amazing person to be in a relationship with. They just the ones in the past couldn't handle. Oh, amazing I am, and that's okay. But that's the whole point of why I want us to work on self so much. And so I say that because there's a video, and I probably continue this conversation next week. Before I move on to that, I'm actually share this comment that was posted. Sean said, your better self should be a fit to someone else's better self. Shunned from posing as an imposter. And yes, this is something I absolutely said earlier, that, when we were talking about fitting, that it'd be the, different walks of life, different stages and phases of healing, whether you're not healing at all or just beginning to heal, just in that acknowledgement stage, because there are, different phases, just like you're teaching children, the different stages and phases of things, and why, like I said, I urge us to work on self so much, and why we need these constant reminders, just like it's okay to not be okay, driving that home, right? And that, if it is, out of your hands, then it is, you have the freedom, or it should have, or it deserves, rather, sorry, the reminder, let me get the words right. If it's out of our hands, then it deserves the same freedom to be out of your mind too, right? And so it's different phases and stages where we need these constant reminders, because, it's those transitions. And then what if you're unaware of when you are transitioning into these different phases? And sometimes you go into remission. So sometimes you got to go back. Sometimes you digress, right? Digress. And so there's, just like I said, that when teaching children, there's the introductory stage, so where it's everything's brand new, just learning ABCs, right? And then there's then you get into the place of being able to identify, these ABCs, the ABCs of life. And then there's, like observation. So to be able to observe, and then to be able to, I guess, re-identify. I don't know, I can't think of another word for it, but to re-identify, because now you're identifying in other places, right? So association, really, I guess it goes introduction, identification, observation, and association. And I think that's what leads to mastery. I am talking, that was right here. That's what it takes, right? Because once, like I said, you've been introed to the ABCs of life, now you've grown into the place where you can identify them. So now I'm asking you, I'm pointing to them, and you are telling me this is A for apple, this is B for bumblebee, right? And the ABCs of life. And then now you observe. So now you're seeing them in other places. Like, wait a minute, hold on, is that? So then you're growing into association. Hey, Chris, perfect timing. I'm gonna show you why, because in these last 10 minutes, I'm getting into the video. It's so good. And so, like I said, from introduction to identification to observation, and now to association, that you have been intro to the ABCs of life. You now can identify the ABCs of life. You have observed the ABCs in life, in different areas and walks, and scenarios and situations and experiences. And now you're able to associate the ABCs of life. And now you're realizing that, oh, this ABC of life right here looks like that over here. So like I see the letter A written on this paper, literally, this is what I was doing with my daughter today. It's written on this paper right here, where I have to, she's getting into reading. So she's reading, like, wait a minute, this is red. And so it's like, it's weird, like, red, R-E-D, but it's written here. And then it's a constant reminder of myself, right? Of myself. I see it. I know I can read red because she had to help the astronaut get home to Earth, right? And so it's a maze. So some words are turned, to the side. And so I have to now be able to identify and see that. Is that a call? Okay, sorry. I thought I heard something. Sorry, y'all. It's probably my daughter. But, you have to be able to identify that. Wait a minute. All right, no, sorry, y'all. I'm tripping. Sorry, y'all. I swear I heard something. But I have to be able to see it, right? In different ways, and help her to be able to identify it, that it's different, it's written here. So then we have this little slider paper where she can go back and remembers how to read her words. And so turn it to let her see, like, it's the same thing here. So associate, so again, in life, where, like I said, with work, I did say I was going to update y'all. I'll get to that next week. Long story short, I'm on PTO for the month of April. And it's not that I was forced. I actually requested it. And it was actually approved. That was a surprising factor. And it's just no hope that a lot will change. I just hope so. But I'm still in some back and forth email war that my boss wound up saying, literally yelling in the email, the end, all those exclamation points. Oh, okay, girl. Anyway, all of that, though, is because, not all of that because, but moving on from that. So when we, like I said, the whole idea of life, again, as a reminder, So is the phone. Okay. Hello. Hello. Hi. Who's calling? Can you hear me? Yes. Who's calling?
Wes.
Wes?
Mhm.
Hi, Wes. What you doing?
Hi.
What you doing?
Watching the show.
Do you like the show so far?
Mhm.
Yeah, really? What do you like about the show so far?
Huh? Your part?
Oh, no, honey. You say yes, ma'am. Say ma'am or something. It's my nephew. So it's funny, Wes, that you called in, right? Because in the last few minutes of the show, I wanted to get into the fact that how important, because I've talked about like us working on ourselves, right? And just, learning to be like kinder to ourselves while we're learning just life, right? And so what happens, unfortunately, is that in life,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So listen, right? So in life, unfortunately, that we learn that for boys or for men, that you're not taught to be kind to yourself. Like there are a lot of men out here that are grown. So men like that are my age. I'm not a man, but men that are my age that are not taught to be kind to themselves. And there's this video that I watched, and it's two NFL players, or actually three. So it was Brandon Marshall and Channing Crowder and Ocho Cinco. And they were talking about one player, unfortunately, that was found not living, Vincent Jackson, in his hotel room. And so they were talking about their feelings about it, and just feelings of how they would want it to be normal for them to express themselves and to talk about to be okay, to get that okay from society and from the world, to be able to express themselves on how they feel about that would sadden anybody, that would make them, feel some type of way, sad, hurt, maybe mad. Someone could experience depression from it. And so while what all that I was talking about throughout the show is us being kinder to ourselves, it's important for men to feel like that they can be kind to themselves as well, and not always have to be so, hard and mean. Do you feel like it's okay for you to express yourself if you feel sad or mad or happy? Wesley? Wes?
This is not Wes. This is Chloe.
Oh, okay. Y'all just switch phones on me. Okay. Where's Daddy? Y'all playing on the phone right now, and I got to finish up the show.
Bobby?
Yes. The kids playing on the phone and swapping phones on me now. I didn't know who I was talking to.
That was Chloe. Well, they was enjoying watching you on the YouTube.
Oh.
Watching.
It was a surprise.
But Wes was watching what you said. Huh?
I know it's okay. But I was asking Wesley if he felt like that he feels, okay enough to, express if he feels sad or mad or, upset, happy, or any feeling at all. If he feels like okay. Yeah. Is he still close by you?
Listen to you now.
Is he still by you?
Yeah, he is. He's just listening to it because of the delay.
I know. It's probably weird. So ask him, because I don't know if it's delayed, if it's the phone that's delayed, or
he heard you. I'm gonna switch. Take the phone so you don't hear the echo. Hold on one second.
Okay. My babies, y'all talk. Hello, my babies. I can relay the message. I love it.
I feel like talking about my feelings. It really depends on the day. Like,
okay.
If I'm like mad, like really mad, then sometimes I do. But like if I feel like keeping it away, then I just do that sometimes.
Okay. And guess what? That either way is actually it's good. Let me tell you why. Because it's the freedom to be able to choose. If you don't feel like talking and expressing your feelings in that moment or that day, that's a good thing. Could you imagine how it would feel if you cannot express your feelings at all? How would that make you feel? Wesley?
Yeah.
How would it make you feel if you could not express your feelings at all? Like if they said, if you just could not tell them if you were mad or happy or sad or anything, how would that make you feel?
Honestly, I wouldn't know how it would feel. I really never have thought about what
and
I would feel.
go ahead. What'd you say at the end?
Say it again?
Yeah, you said you wouldn't know how it feels, and you said something else at the end.
I said I wouldn't know how it feels like because I've never done it.
Okay, and that's such a good thing, Wesley. That was the point I was trying to get at, that I'm so grateful that Daddy has done such a good job with, you know, with you, and that you're this. I can't believe that you're not 3 anymore. But because I was okay when you turned from 2 to 3, I was fine. But now that you're like a big boy, I can't take it. But that Daddy's son has done such a great job with you that you don't even know how it feels where you could not express your feelings. And what I was saying earlier is that there are a lot of men that are much older than you. So Daddy's age and older and older and older, if you can imagine that there are some men that are actually older than Daddy that feel like and have never been able to express how they feel, whether if it was happy or sad or mad or any other feeling. And so it's important that you keep up that feeling, that you know that you can express yourself. Okay? All right. I love y'all. I'm actually about to sign off of the show because I'm over now. But thank y'all so much for calling in. I love, love, love my babies. I love, love, love all of y'all. Give all my kisses and hugs. And to everyone else that is out there, be kind on yourself. Okay? Be kind with yourself. Embrace the process. Okay? Go through life and take ownership for what you cannot control. Release that out of your hands as well as your mind. Okay? It's okay to not be okay. Until next week, I love you. Bye.